Welcome to the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. I'm Sulon Carrick and I'm passionate about inspiring, motivating, supporting and informing women over 50 to embrace this exciting time of life. Health and wellness in mind, body and spirit are the foundations for living well, but there is so much more to a life well lived. Each week, through conversations with my guests, I'll be presenting topics that will help us all to live well and enjoy life. So join me as we discover new ways to become women living well after 50. Are you ready to start living? What are you waiting for? Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. I'm Sulon Carrick, and as always, it's lovely to have you join me. Barb Watson's mission is simple, yet deeply personal. Ensure no woman ever feels alone or lost during menopause as she did. She strives to equip women with authentic, practical tools to confidently navigate this life stage without unnecessary suffering. A qualified personal trainer, ex-bodybuilder, after years managing business transformations in the corporate world, she stepped away to follow her true passion. Now, instead of transforming businesses, she transforms women's lives. 10 years ago, menopause nearly broke her, but through that chaos came clarity and purpose. Today, we're going to be talking about Barb's experience and what she does to help women through this period of time. It's not about handling unrealistic meal plans or quick fixes that evaporate the moment life throws away. So let's go and join the conversation. Welcome, Barb. It's so lovely to have you join me for the Women Living Well After 50 podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be on your podcast.
Well, I was so happy to hear from you, and you've got a lot to offer for women, and I really loved reading your story about what you have done, and I can hear the passion in your voice. We've been talking off air, and the passion that you have, I'm sure, is going to translate into our conversation today. So first of all, I'd love you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to create Barb's Bod Squad.
So a little bit about me. I'm a Kiwi, but I call Australia home. I'm 59 years young. I started my life out in the corporate world, but I became a qualified personal trainer and then started Barb's Bod Squad because I had a really tumultuous menopause and found it very, very challenging. So I was a bodybuilder in my 40s and I thought I'd really cracked the code and my weight was going well. And then all of a sudden, I started putting on weight, I was losing energy, and my life just felt very disturbed. So I recognised there was a menopause. So I decided to start Barb's Bod Squad because there was nothing really out there. There's nothing out there for women in menopause to lose weight and feel well. So that's where I started, and I did a lot of research. And of course, I walked 1,000 miles in women in menopause shoes because I've been through it. And I had a very challenging menopause. I had 32 of the 34 symptoms. So not only did it affect my weight, it affected my mental health. It was very, very challenging. So I'm really passionate about what I do and making a difference, not only around weight, but your wellness. I think at this stage in our life, it's great to lose weight, but you want to keep your health good as well for as long as you can, and I think that's really key for me. I really care for women's health and about maintaining a life that's going to work in menopause.
And, it would have been frustrating to you because you said you were a bodybuilder in your 40s, so you're obviously healthy and fit. Then menopause hits and you don't escape it. You have many symptoms. And you probably thought to yourself, you know, what's happening to me here? I should be sailing through this, but it's really not that easy, is it?
No, well, there's a lot of things that impact it. I mean, if you're eating the same and you're working out the same, it doesn't work. You start putting on weight because your body has changed. I think the key is, and nobody tells you this, and I think it's really challenging. They don't tell you about menopause. They don't tell you about the changes that are happening. So I hear a lot of women, a lot of my clients come to me and say, Barb, I'm exercising, I'm eating well. The problem is, Sue, it's the hormones, it's your changing metabolism, and it's the stress. And nobody teaches you that, and nobody has a program for that. And that's what my program is all about. It manages all of those challenges in menopause that nobody teaches. And I had to learn myself because, as I said, I'm post-menopause, and 10 years ago there was nothing. So I've been through the perimenopause changes, and then the menopause and post-menopause. So I can relate to every stage, and the way you need to tweak, the way you eat, the way you exercise, your stress levels as you go through each stage. So I've lived and breathed it, and I think that's why I'm passionate about it, because I can really make a difference to women because I've done it. And as I said, I was healthy. I was a bodybuilder. I ate well, I exercised, and overnight, it was completely overnight. I started getting the belly fat, low energy, and it was really challenging, really, really challenging for me.
Yes. And while you were talking there, I was thinking, you know, when I was experiencing that, well, 68, probably in my early 50s. So it's a while ago now. No one mentioned it. There was no
No,
information. Doctors just
no,
said, oh, you'll be right, just push through. These
yes,
days, we've got everybody talking, well, a lot more people talking about menopause, but a lot of these, what I call influencers, talking about, oh, we can help you. They're, you know, they might be 25 or 30 years old. And that's not to say they don't know the information, but they haven't lived it. And I think that, you know, women want to talk to other women who have been through the experience, because you can tell them all those things that you went through and they'll go, oh, good, okay, well, that's what she did. And you know, you've got that experience that you're teaching them, not something out of a textbook, or you know, what's good one week might not be good for next week.
that's absolutely right. And, understanding the impacts of hormones as you transition. I mean, we get to perimenopause, you're in, your hormones start to fluctuate, and that causes a lot of disturbance. But when you actually hit menopause and estrogen or estradiol completely depletes, it creates a lot of challenges, and being able to understand those challenges and adjust, how you're eating, how you're moving. Stress has got a lot to do with it. I said it makes a big difference. What you used to do in your 20s and 30s will not work now. And even people are doing things right. It's the body, the game's changed, your body's changed, and you have to adapt to that. And I think that's the key. Women are getting very stressed about it, but you've got to recognize and accept your body's changed. So you've got to shift the way you're eating, moving, and reduce your stress. So I think that's the key factor to it.
And we'll
Mm.
delve more into that. But a couple of points you've made. You mentioned earlier on about it's more about our health rather than losing weight. And I mean, we've grown up wanting to, everybody wants to be thin, you know, whereas it's just because you might not be overweight doesn't mean you're healthy. So it's more about accepting who we are and trying to live
Absolutely.
as healthy as we can, because that's what's going to carry us through in older age, our health and fitness, not being, you know, thin and perhaps unhealthy. But also we didn't even know what perimenopause was. We just said, oh, well,
No.
you're at menopause. So there's a lot more information out there. So I want to talk about your approach and how you cut through all that noise that social media has about it, and you spoke about your point of difference. And so I'd like to talk about that, because there are many people out there who are, supposedly helping, but I'd like to talk about what you do. So if you could just share that a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so my approach to it is first is a hormone awareness. So when I work with the women on my program, I get a really good understanding of the way they're eating, the way they're moving, their symptoms, their stress levels, and their lifestyle. So that kind of gives me a baseline of, what their metabolic health and the hormone health is like. And from there, we adapt it to the issues that you have in perimenopause and menopause, and I want to cover this off. So what happens in menopause or perimenopause and menopause, your estrogen drops or declines. So you start getting visceral fat, and visceral fat is metabolic, and that creates a bit of inflammation as well. Also, as you age, your metabolism slows down, so you're burning fat less efficiently and maybe 200 calories less. Also, you lose muscle mass with aging. So as you know, muscle burns fat. And over the age of 30, you lose between 3 and 8% of muscle mass. And over 50, I think it increases above 5. And also, with the drop in the estrogen and the fluctuating hormones, you are very sensitive to stress. I think this is something you're not taught, that, when you start hearing menopause, you get the mood swings, you get you feel very stressed and out of sort. So again, estrogen is this protective hormone that makes you less sensitive to stress. And another big thing that impacts you is you become insulin resistance, which means your body, when you hit perimenopause, and especially when you hit menopause and post, doesn't manage carbs very well. So you've got to be very aware of how you're eating. Not carbs itself, but how you're eating those carbs. And also stress, sleep, as you know, with menopause and perimenopause, it's very disruptive. So that disrupts the hunger hormones, and it disrupts your sleep and your cortisol levels. So my approach to it is, my program is based around that. It's based around eating for your hormones. It's about training for menopause. It's about balancing your blood sugar levels and reducing your stress and creating habits that are going to fit for your new menopause body and for over your life and over the transition. So that's what my program is really about. I do this assessment and then work on how to work with your new body around, as I said, eating for your hormones, training for the new menopause body, and reducing stress is a big element of my program. A lot of my clients come and they're on HRT, but they're highly stressed. And what they don't know is that stress causes a lot of symptoms that can mimic menopause. And also, if you're on HRT, it will blunt HRT. So it's really interesting. A big component of my program is around, I think, learning about your body. For instance, stress isn't only about your lifestyle, your work, you're busy, but if you overtrain, you create stress on your body. If you are in deficit or not eating enough carbs, you're creating stress. So these are all of the things that you need, that I factor into my program and rebuild. I virtually rebuild how you eat, live, and move, because your body's completely changed. And I think that's what makes my program very unique. And I've been through it. And I'm very passionate because I had the menopause from hell. So I want women to start in perimenopause and build, you not only lose weight, but build that wellness from there, and tweak it as you go through, even into post. And I think that's really key. This is a transition, and it's a big adjustment in your life, and you've really got to pay some attention to it and really work with your body and not against it, and really accept it has changed. and you've got to make a change and willing to change as well. You can't keep doing what you were doing. It doesn't work. I see it over and over again. I'm eating less, I'm, training more. Well, actually, what you're doing is the opposite. You're actually making yourself store fat. I think I've got a really good understanding of that. And my program is progressive. I don't give people a bunch of meal plans. I don't give them a training plan, and I don't give them a bunch of motivational videos. I work with them to adjust to this new world, because it is a new world. And I think that, it's not talked about enough in my generation when I was going through it. It's getting better now, but still, there's still not a lot of information out, and then there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I think that's the challenge for me. I'm very passionate because I do not want women to experience what I went through. It was very challenging. And, we've got a lot more knowledge out there. There's a lot of good treatments around HRT. You've got, compared to 30 years ago when the Women's Health Initiative came out and scared everyone with the breast cancer, and they're actually backtracking on that piece of research. So, don't fear HRT, don't fear carbs. I think it's just you've got to shift the way of thinking, what's been programmed from what we knew in the past in our younger days to what exists now and how your body works now, because it's completely different. And I can tell you right now, being a bodybuilder, and I thought I'd cracked the code, I was in the same boat, putting on weight, low energy, and I had to do the research myself and do the hard yards. And that's why I do what I do, Sue, because I left my corporate background because I'm so passionate about this, to help women and make them feel better. It's just such a difficult time, menopause, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, I wish there was someone around like you when I was experiencing it. The thing about the HRT with breast cancer, because I had a history of that in my family, we said, okay, I won't go down that path. But now, of course, they've backtracked, and as you said, and there's a lot more information. But I think the other thing is, if you are even in perimenopause, you're getting all these symptoms, it's so good to have someone to hold your hand through it, that can take you through it, because it can be a bit overwhelming. And with, as you say, with all that information that comes in, and some of it's misinformation, if you've got someone that can hold your hand like yourself and say, look, this is what we're going to do, and this is for you. This is this is designed for you. It's not like a one size fits all, because everyone goes through different things and experiences, don't they?
That's absolutely right. And what you find, if you've got a predisposition to something, because I had anxiety in menopause, it seems to personify. So these are the things you don't know. So you're absolutely right. It's around someone holding your hand and no, you're not going crazy. No, the struggle is real and you're not actually going crazy. And I think knowledge is powerful, because once you understand what your body's going through, relaxes a bit. I got so stressed out because I didn't know what was happening. So, and I was sent, they sent me on a wild goose chase, and cost me a lot of money. And mentally it cost me a lot as well, because, they told me I had a brain tumor, and then they put me on antidepressants, and I drove through a red traffic light and had an accident. So that caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress in its own right. So you're absolutely right. Having someone that can tell you how your body's reacting and why it's doing these things, and adjusting it to fit your life. Because life isn't perfect. Stuff's going to happen, and I think trying to follow restrictive plans, it's not going to work, and you don't need to. Like, for instance, one of the challenges you have is when you hit perimenopause and menopause, you become a bit insulin resistant, so your body doesn't handle carbs. That does not mean, Sue, that you need to fear carbs. You need to change how you eat them. And I'll give you an example. So my philosophy is eat clean 5 days of the week and really look after, balancing your blood sugar, feeding your body good food. and have food you like as well, but it's how you eat it. So, for instance, I like chocolate. Now, if you eat chocolate on an empty stomach, it will spike your insulin levels, and insulin is a hormone, is a fat storage hormone. But if you have a balanced meal of like protein, carbs, and fats, and then you have your chocolate afterwards, it doesn't create that insulin spike. So I find it very challenging when women come to me and try to restrict their carbs, because you need carbs. It's how you eat them. And I think this is a knowledge you need. I think all this fear and restriction and overtraining is causing you more damage. And you've got to be able to look at you and what you personally do and tweak it to fit your new body. And this is the key. And that's what I do. I think creating fear and restriction, it just doesn't work. And as a lifestyle, it's not going to work. May work for 3 months. You can restrict your food and go restricted, but long term it doesn't. And this is about longevity and your health.
That's exactly right. And like, you're going through enough without having to go on these really restricted diets. And after a couple of days, you go, oh, look, I could, you go on a binge because you just don't do it. But also looking at it, as you said, about a future lifestyle. It's something that you accept. And I think we need to change our mindset about that too. Eating clean doesn't have to be restrictive, and also getting over that notion that, okay, we've got to cut out carbs altogether, because we do need the different food groups in our, and the macros and micronutrients to have a healthy lifestyle. So it's a complete relearning of what we've probably lived with for 40 or 50 years. So what I do want to talk about too is that you talk about having, like, we think we've got to be in the gym for hours and hours, or, we've got to work ourselves to death. But you're a believer in short workouts can be effective. So can we have a talk about that? Because the other thing is, usually when we're going through perimenopause and menopause, we're at the height of our career, and so we haven't got time. I look at my daughter, who's in that situation now. She's got 2 young boys. She's got a really high-powered executive job that just takes over, and trying to fit in that exercise is not easy. And so you talk about your short workouts and how they're effective.
Yes, so I believe in a thing called metabolic moving. So it's around moving to support your hormone health, your metabolism, and your stress level. So by doing shorter workouts throughout the day, gives you that metabolic moving and helps your metabolic health. And you're right, Sue, you can fit it in. It's doable. You can do it, and you fit it into your routine. Like for me, I do my 10 minutes while I'm watching the news. So it becomes something I do rather than something I feel I have to do. So the short workouts, and there is some science behind this. So I don't know if you follow Dr. Stacey Sims, but doing medium intensity continuous workouts like jogging and running for like 45 minutes creates stress on your body. And as you know, it creates stress, produces cortisol, and you start getting that belly fat. So the key is in perimenopause and menopause is short and sharp. So when you're doing cardio, you do very high intensity, like 85 to 95% of your heart rate for 30 seconds, and then you rest for a minute. So you're getting, and this is proven. They've done a lot of research on this. This helps burn that belly fat or that visceral fat. So doing HIIT and doing 10 minutes and following that rhythm will help, not spike your insulin, not spike your cortisol, but also help you throughout the day to not deplete and raise your cortisol levels. So that's why I do these 10-minute blocks. And you can block them in any way you want. So you do cardio and you do strength training in these 10-minute blocks. But that's the reason why, because you shouldn't be doing jogging and brisk walking for long periods of time, because it will spike your cortisol.
Cortisol.
Yeah, so there's some science behind it as well. As you said, lifestyle. You can fit 10 minutes in. Can you get to the gym for an hour? Not that much. Not in the long term. Again, that 3 week short term, yes, but it's proven that a lot of people buy gym memberships and they don't use them.
No, that's exactly right. You fall off after the first week or two because life gets in the way. I think
exactly right.
You know, if we look at it again, coming under that lifestyle, well, this is how I live my life. So
Right.
I brush my teeth every day. I, shower, I eat, I do this and that. So working out. And I think we should probably change it, get up a different word to working out, because work, has that negative connotation. Whereas if it's just, I'm going to be looking after my body for 10 and my mental health for 10 minutes every day, or in 2 10-minute blocks, whatever you want, but knowing that you can get your strength training in with that, as well as your cardio workout. So I think again it's relearning.
Yeah, and that's what my program does. I said I'm not there to give you an exercise program and a diet plan. I'll teach you how to fit in with your new body and work with your new menopause body around eating, moving, and mindset. And the reality is, with your daughter, you just don't have time. So creating something that's going to work and keep your health. I call it metabolic moving, because I think it's about moving. If you sit, I've got a client that sits all day, and I said to her, you need to get up and move. If and anchor it. And what I do with some of my clients, just create very tiny habits. So I anchor it to something they do. So my client, she has a that tells her to move. So I said, when you move, what I want you to do, I've got like a 2-minute program. I want you to do this warm up and do a 2-minute chest and tricep. So it's what it is. It's anchoring stuff to what you already do, and then it becomes not. You don't need motivation to do it. It becomes a habit. There's a guy called BJ Fogg, and he talks about tiny habits, and this is how you build a lifestyle that's going to fit your fitness. So, for instance, what you do, you have a habit that you do. You might, as I said, get up in the morning, and you might have a coffee, but instead of getting up in the morning and having a coffee, you might put your shoes by the front door, so you know you have to do a 10-minute walk. So you slowly build an anchor, then you do it, and then at the end you celebrate. You have that feel-good thing that you're talking about. I feel like it's really improving my health. I'm de-stressing. So when you do something that makes your brain feel good and your nervous system feel good and anchors it and brings up the dopamine, it wants to do it again. And you're absolutely right. We've got to shift the mindset and anchor it to habits to make it part of your lifestyle. Because motivation will only take you so far. It's the habits that you build that continue on. And it's all about maintaining your health at this age. I think when you hit 40, I think around about 40 is when you start changing. And 45 is a really pivotal point that you really got to be mindful around these changes, and you got to tweak it as you go through perimenopause, menopause, and post, because there's as you age, there's an aging factor, there's a hormone factor, but also stress factor as well. Sometimes it shifts. Some people in their 60s have retired, so they don't have the stress factor. But they have other factors, like, for instance, when you get over 60, did you know your thyroid slows down? So it's quite important to concentrate on your thyroid health, which is how you're eating, which you don't have the stress levels. So there's lots of things as you go through, you've got to tweak. When you're in perimenopause, you need more carbs. If you're working out, you need more carbs. If you have a slightly sedentary, you need less. So it's making these adjustments to fit your metabolic health and your well-being. And you will lose weight as well. But it's also about feeling good and having lots of energy as well. It's just not the aesthetic side of it. It's actually feeling good and feeling like something you can sustain. You feel like you're not going crazy. Swear to God, you feel like you're going crazy. You ask women, they feel, what is going on? You go, what on earth is going on here? So it's making that, committing to that change, making those shifts, not making it too difficult, and then sustainability. And as you go through, recognize you've got to shift things slightly as you go through. So that's what I needed to do from 45, now I'm nearly 60. I've altered things as I've gone through. And honestly, I'm fit now. 10, 20 minutes a day of exercise and fit it around my life. I walk in the morning because,
go on. No, what would you do?
So in the morning, it's really important. Did you know if you do a 10-minute walk, a walk in the sunshine, helps you sleep better at night? Isn't that interesting? There's a bit of science behind that. So I do a 10-minute walk in the morning. I do a minimum of 20 minutes. And sometimes in the lunchtime, I haven't got time. But at night, always, because I've anchored to a habit, I do 10 minutes resistance training. So, you know,
and there's your 20 minutes.
Yeah. So how easy is that? I think blocking it up. And again, it's this metabolic move and keeping your metabolism. There's a fine line in your metabolism. So if you overtrain, you're going to push your metabolism down. If you undertrain, your metabolism is slow. So it's just keeping that steady progress, especially if you sit all day. You know, a lot of my clients, they sit all day. I go, you've got to move in these blocks and get up and move around. You know, and after you've eaten, did you know if you move 5 minutes after you eat, it helps with your blood sugar levels. So there's lots of stuff that I do that's all about adjusting for this new body and these new changes because of the hormones, the metabolism changes, and your stress, because you're very sensitive to stress when you go through perimenopause and menopause.
And of course, you know, with this, for example, with the metabolic moving, it's only 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something. You can cope with that when you're trying to cope with everything else in life. But I do want to just quickly touch on a couple of things. You know, we strive for perfection. I wrote something on my in my newsletter a few weeks ago about day one or you know, like, just start, because everyone waits until the time is perfect, but that may never come. So you just have to make that start and keep going.
Yeah. And part of my program when I work with them is creating that mindset. So prep weeks or understanding why you want to do it. It's really important to understand what it is you want to achieve out of this. And also another thing I find is women, you've got to make the time. You've got to commit to doing it. You know, when you first start something, you've actually got to commit to doing it. But I make it easy because it's progressive. Everything is progressive. I don't give you everything at once and overwhelm you, because, of course, stress is a big factor in my program. So it's everything is easy, doable, and it's highly personalized, because everybody is different and you need a different approach for what you're doing around your food, especially around your food. Like, I've developed a personalised program in AI, because I've got an IT background, that personalises how you want to eat. Still eating your favourite foods, but again, shifting how you do it. Don't fear carbs, just shift how you're eating your carbs, and that's going to change how your body reacts and how it stores fat. And this is the true key of it, because when you try to alter your lifestyle too much, it falls over. Because, as you said, Sue, life gets in the way. So my program's all about that. Just start slow, start so slowly, and progressively work your way up. Don't do a big bang. You see these people, they start Monday and they go on a strict diet and they're going to the gym. And guess what? That lasts about a week. And the next Monday, they start again. No. You really got to build it as a lifestyle and work with your
for
body.
long term. Yeah, exactly. And the AI component sounds interesting.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I've got an IT background, and I left my corporate life to do this because it's what I love, and helping women is just what I love to do. So what I do is I built a thing called a food coach. So my food coach is highly personalized to every client I have. So for instance, my food coach, because gut health is a big thing with women that have had quite long-term stress through over-exercising, through under-eating, and of course lifestyle. Our lives are very, very busy. It caters for your gut health. It caters for prioritizing protein. It caters for your energy and your energy out. Because if you want to lose a bit of weight, you can do it, but you've got to do it sensibly. You've got to do it sensibly with an energy in and an energy out. Cater for the fact you need to balance your sugar levels, yeah, and not produce cortisol through under eating. So my food coach does that. So for each of my clients, I put in, all they do is they just need to say, well, what do I eat? What do I need to eat today? So I do a fasting protocol. So it's got a fasting protocol for them, and it will give them the perfect balance. But the good thing about it is, and I get my clients to do, I say, life is never going to be perfect. So go and ask your food coach about this meal, and it will tell you if it's balanced. Because again, the key to eating is eating for your hormones, not just weight loss. So making sure you are not too much in a calorie deficit, make sure you are eating a balanced meal, which is prioritizing protein, making sure you're eating fat and carbs. So my tool is very interactive. It's just not a meal plan. You can ask it, oh, what if I want to eat chocolate? We'll tell you, we'll just stop you from spiking your insulin. Eat it after a meal. Don't eat it on its own, and move 5 minutes afterwards. So it's again this whole holistic way of losing weight that's specific to my clients. So I built it because I wanted them to have something that A, wasn't going to overwhelm them, and it was flexible so they can keep their lifestyle and build these great habits, but within the philosophies of how you actually lose weight in menopause. Because it is a little bit about macros and energy out, but it's also how you eat carbs, how you have the balance in your meals. And it's really taught that well or understood that well, because when you are young, I describe women that are young as metabolic superheroes. You know, your metabolism just is on fire. You can, in your 20s and 30s, it's not a problem. But as I said, when you hit menopause, your body changes and your mind changes. So the tool is around creating that flexibility and still managing all the things you need to manage for weight loss and wellness. And I built it for myself because I don't do meal plans. And I used to do MyFitnessPal and my macros in MyFitnessPal and track them. And I still do that. But you need flexibility. You can't be going, oh, well, I'm out to dinner, I'm going to record one piece of bit of rice, and it's just not that doable. You've got to be able to build it that you can lose weight, be able to ask the right questions to be able to facilitate that weight loss within this new body that you have in menopause. So that's why I built it for myself, and then I let my clients, I give them an individual food coach each, and they really love it. They love it. They go, this is just so easy, Barb. This is so easy. I can interact with it, you know, and I'm learning about what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat, and I'm still eating my favorite foods, but some I've adjusted. And I go, I am so proud of you and so happy that, you know, you are using it, because this is what it's about. It's about adjusting to your body without restricting yourself and driving yourself crazy. You're crazy enough in menopause. You don't need any more. I've got to eat this. I've got to do this. It's creating extra stress you don't need. So yeah, my food coaches are amazing. The women love them. It's really good. Yeah,
well,
so
I was just thinking too, like the short workouts, people want easy and simple. Once you know, we're not nutritionists, and we're not, it can get so complicated. So the easier it is for you to do, the more you're going to stick to it. So that sounds like a really good idea. And look, we're coming towards the end of our conversation now, and there's so much we can always talk about, Barb. So you may have to come back on the program. But before I ask you the question I ask all of my guests, with the way you work, do you offer online as well as in person, or how does your how do you work?
Mine is all online. So mine is
great.
an all online program, but I've partnered with some. So I partnered with some doctors, because if women, when I do a assessment with them, if their hormones aren't in balance, or they're not on HS, or they feel they want to, I work with some really good doctors that I can refer them to help with that element, because that's the first part of my program. So mine's all online, but I also I can refer them to doctors, and also I'm going to work with personal trainers if you want to do something at the gym. Some people like that. Most of the people are happy with the 10-minute blocks. So my program covers everything. It covers all of the learning, it covers all of the habits, and the exercises are all programmed into my mobile app. So all you do with the 10-minute exercises, they're Tabata training. It shows, I walk them through the technique online, and then they switch on the app and it shows them the instructional videos, and you do like your 30 seconds on, your minute off, and it runs for 10 minutes. So everything is online. So it's very easy, very accessible. And if they want something that's in person, I've looked at partnering with, especially with some of my local clients, someone at a gym. They have to be aware of how to train women at this period in life. I do not just accept a trainer that doesn't understand women's need when it comes to perimenopause and menopause. But everything is online, so yeah, I do everything.
Oh, well, that's good and so convenient, and it's the way forward, really. So, look, it's been wonderful talking to you today, Barb, and I can really hear your passion, and you certainly have, made the effort to learn as much as you can so that you can help other women. So before we go, I just wanted to ask you, what does being a woman living well after 50 mean to you?
Living well after 50 is really about taking care of your health, appreciating every day you are on the planet, and enjoy every day and make the most of every day. And I think when it comes to menopause, I think it should be seen as a pivotal point in your life, and it's a change, but I don't think you should see it as something that's a bad thing. I think you've just got to work with it and go with it. But I think being happy, not overstressing yourself, and appreciating every day. For me, I appreciate every day, the good and the bad, and appreciate that you're on the planet, and take care of your health. Be aware of your health, and don't just lose weight for the aesthetic reasons, but do it for health reasons. You want to be on this planet as long as you can and enjoy your life, and I think it's important when you get to our age, every day becomes precious.
Certainly does. So well said, and great advice there. So thanks so much for joining me today, Barb. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and meeting you. I'll be putting all the links in the show notes so that the listeners can find you and contact you. And I'm actually interested in that AI program myself. Yes. So, I hope that you've enjoyed being my guest, and I've really appreciated you joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sue. It's great to be here, and thanks for your time. And it's been lovely meeting you.
Thank you. Well, I loved Barb from Barb's Bod Squad's energy and passion about helping women in perimenopause and menopause and beyond. And she really did come up with some helpful ideas, the short workouts rather than, pushing our bodies every day to the limit, but still getting those metabolic movements in that are good for our cardio as well as our strength. the way we eat, and even talking about her AI food coach, which I found was very interesting. So I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation today and that you'll share it with a friend. I'm sure they will benefit from it as well. And until next time, remember to live well, enjoy life, and most of all, be a woman living life your way. Bye for now.